In this video, we are going to recap a movie called Love and Other Drugs. Spoilers ahead. In Pittsburgh in 1996, we find Jimmy hard at work in an electronics shop. His days are spent persuading ladies to buy phones and sound systems, all the while charming the store owner's girlfriend, Christy. One day, Jimmy and Christy sneak to the back for a private moment, accidentally broadcasting it over the intercom, leading to a tense confrontation with Christy's boyfriend. After a heated exchange with his boss, Jamie rushes out of the store, taking a moment to impress a woman named Amber. Later that evening, he joins his family for dinner at his parents' house. His father and sister are doctors, while his brother Josh, a bit clumsy, has made wealth through a medical software company. During dinner, tensions rise as Josh and his spouse argue about Jimmy's dismissal and decision to go to medical school. Jimmy casually dismisses the conversation, revealing that Josh will help him land a job as a pharmaceutical sales representative. With Josh's assistance, Jimmy starts working for Pfizer, attending numerous seminars to hone his sales pitch for Zoloft and ZMX. Despite his efforts, doctors consistently reject him, disappointing his business partner and supervisor, Bruce, who sees Jimmy as his key to success in Chicago. Bruce advises Jimmy to convince Dr. Knight to prescribe Zoloft over Prozac, believing that other doctors will follow suit. Despite numerous failed attempts, Jimmy resorts to flirting with receptionists and secretly discarding Prozac samples in the dumpster. Facing ongoing struggles to boost sales, Jimmy offers Dr. Knight a $1,000 bribe to shadow him for a day. Dr. Knight agrees, and Jimmy passionately advocates for Zoloft while posing as an intern. During this charade, he speaks with Maggie, one of Dr. Knight's patients, who confides in him about a break-in and lists the medication she needs. In an awkward twist, Maggie asks Dr. Knight to examine a lump on her breast, revealing it to be a spider bite. The drama continues in the parking lot, where Maggie confronts Jimmy, punches him, takes his picture, and storms off, revealing the consequences of his deceptive actions. Jamie returned home to find Josh, who was going through a tough time with his wife. Josh needed a place to stay temporarily, and Jamie agreed to help him out. Wanting to reconnect with someone from his life, Jamie called Dr. Knight's receptionist, with whom he had a romantic involvement, to get Maggie's contact details. Upon reaching out to Maggie and inviting her for coffee, Jamie faced initial reluctance, but eventually she agreed to meet. Their date was a mix of Jamie trying to charm Maggie, who saw through his tactics. After a short time at her apartment, they decided to keep things casual with no strings attached. Following their encounter, Jamie received various late-night calls, and he and Maggie continued to share happy moments. Maggie surprised Jamie one night by showing up at his apartment, wearing only a coat, but the unexpected reveal was witnessed by Josh, who was now Jamie's roommate. At work, Jamie disposed of Prozac pills, only to be unexpectedly punched by Trey, a representative for Prozac, who was aware of Jamie's actions. Trey threatened Jamie, warning him to stop. This led to an escalating altercation, leaving Jamie on the ground. Undeterred by the warning, Jamie decided to visit Maggie after work. They discussed Trey's involvement with Maggie and her health issues. Attempting to engage in intimacy, Jamie faced difficulties, but Maggie comforted him and playfully suggested trying a new erectile dysfunction drug from his company. The next day, Jamie discussed the new drug with Bruce, received approval to promote it, and became popular among doctors. However, Jamie's desire for a deeper connection with Maggie grew. Despite their arguments, Jamie tried to convince Maggie to enter into a relationship. The tension between them continued, and Jamie was surprised to find Maggie assisting senior citizens on a bus bound for Canada to obtain affordable prescription drugs. Their argument persisted, and Maggie left. Jamie waited anxiously for her return as the bus finally came back. The next day, Maggie feels touched that he waited for more than 24 hours. Maggie informs him that she agrees to be in a relationship but with a condition. She reserves the right to criticize and vilify him to her friends when he eventually breaks her heart. As they return to her apartment, they engage in another round of intimate time together. Maggie talks about transitioning from being a painter to focusing on photography in colleges since her Parkinson's diagnosis. Jimmy shares that he left medical school due to attention deficit disorder. One night after networking at the bar, Jimmy returns home and starts to play around with Maggie, but suddenly hyperventilates. He confesses his love for her, stating that she is the first person he has ever expressed such feelings to. A few days later, during a conversation about an upcoming conference in Chicago, Jimmy tells Bruce that he doesn't want to leave Maggie behind because of her illness. Upon arriving home, Jimmy discovers Maggie in a drunken state due to running out of medication. They have an argument. Jimmy storms out, but later returns, embracing her tightly, leading to a reconciliation. The turning point in their relationship comes when Jimmy invites Maggie to accompany him to a conference. At the event, she is invited to a nearby Parkinson's convention. Moved by the stories of those coping with Parkinson's, Maggie invites Jimmy to join her at the refreshment table. Jimmy engages in a conversation with a man whose wife is in the final stages of the disease, receiving advice that shakes him to the core. Despite this, Maggie expresses her love for Jimmy and her gratitude for his support, alleviating her fears about the future. In a subsequent montage, Jimmy is shown extensively researching Parkinson's disease online and in medical libraries. He also seeks information from Dr. Knight regarding specialists who can help slow the progression of the disease. Over the following weeks, Jimmy takes Maggie to various specialists and seminars across the country, funding her tests and maxing out his credit cards in the process. During a visit to a doctor's office in Boston, a scheduling issue leads to an argument between Jimmy and a receptionist, causing Maggie to walk out. They have a heated exchange, leading to a sudden breakup against Jane's wishes. Devastated, Jimmy is encouraged by Dr. Knight to attend a pajama party at another doctor's house. At the party, Josh quickly finds a romantic connection, while Jimmy, under the influence of Viagra, engages in a three-way encounter with two female coworkers. Waking up in pain and realizing a negative reaction to Viagra, his brother drives him to the emergency room. Che candidly expresses that he doesn't envy Jane's seemingly superficial, unfulfilling love life, and that he misses his wife, intending to reconcile with her. One night, as Jimmy was having dinner with Bruce, he unexpectedly ran into Maggie, who happened to be on a date with someone else. After an awkward conversation, Bruce surprised Jimmy with news of his promotion to the Chicago office. Maggie congratulated him, swiftly left, and later Bruce revealed he didn't get promoted, just a raise. Back home, packing for his move to Chicago, Jimmy found a video he and Maggie had made in bed. Realizing his deep feelings, he hurried to the diner where she worked, only to discover she had left for a medical bus trip to Canada. Determined, Jimmy chased the bus down, convinced them to stop, and in a brief moment, confessed his love and appreciation for Maggie. Emotional, Maggie admitted she'd rely on him even more. Jimmy reassured her, expressing his commitment. They shared a heartfelt moment, with Jimmy affirming his choice of their reality over an alternate one without struggles. They embraced, sealing it with a kiss. The final scene showcased Jimmy in a video advocating for living life to the fullest, pursuing dreams over material wealth. It implied that things had worked out positively for the couple.